Tom, it's really good to be back in your office again today, and thanks ever so much for agreeing to come on the programme, because I know you've got a really busy schedule, but so much good news going on in Leeds and the region, Tom, at the moment. I'm sure you want to share that with us.
Yeah, no, it's a great time to be in Leeds. We've been working really hard over the last few years to put the foundations in place for the city to really achieve its potential, and I think anybody who's worked in the city or visited it, who lives in it recently, will know how much is going on. It's the city centre especially, has seen the fantastic development of the Trinity shopping centre, the arena that's doing incredibly well. But on top of that, we have Victoria Gate, John Lewis coming to Leeds after such a long period of time, chasing us or us chasing them. That's going to open in the autumn. We've got a revamped Kirkgate Market, we've got the doubling of the size of the Victoria Quarter. The south bank of the city is an amazing regeneration development that is probably the biggest in Europe in a city centre. We already have south of the train station, the new station entrance, which has been used by thousands of people, tens of thousands of people. We have a university technical college, 2 colleges, a free school, already either open or about to open. We have the amazing developments of the Round Foundry, Tower Works, and now Burberry announcing that they're bringing 1,000 jobs. The making of their trench coats to Leeds. It's an amazing time to be here, and one that I think increasingly people are recognising the city for what it is, which is just one of the great European cities.
That's brilliant, and I think it was yesterday that, aren't we the second region in the country now for inward investment?
We are. We've gone from close to the bottom of the league actually. It wasn't an area we did well on, but we've worked really hard with the LEP, Roger Marsh and our colleagues there, other local authorities, to get our act together and to really hunt us a path for mobile international investment. And yes, it's just been announced in the Ernst & Young report that we're now second in the country. We were, I think, 7th. So that's great. And another separate report actually came out with Leeds, the fastest growing city in terms of new mid-sized company investment as well. So all of this, points to a really bright future for the city, but also the present is great as well.
And I think, Tom, I read recently they have a new transport strategy that the city's looking at.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously we had the setback of the trolleybus decision, and these things happen, unfortunately, and there'll be a full lessons learned review about that. It went through successive governments, through successive administrations here, so there's lots of people involved over a long period of time, but the real issue is how do we make sure that we utilise the money that we've still got, the 174 million, which we managed to persuade the government of, that we should be investing that in the city. So we've got some great stuff happening with the new park and ride at Ellen Road. It's been very successful. We had as I said, the new entrance to the station. Lots of things happening in terms of rail franchises. We negotiated with Sheffield and Manchester much better franchises for Transpennine and Northern. So in a couple of years we'll have brand new rolling stock, free Wi-Fi, bigger carriages, more frequent services right across the city region, across the Pennines, across the north, because of the intervention we made there. So this new money has got to be used absolutely in the right way on both short-term improvements, but also the longer term. Who knows, we should probably have a tram train in Leeds in the longer term and in the Leeds city region, and they're the issues that we'll be looking at.
I know Tony Hall was speaking this morning at a breakfast event, and he was talking about potentially a new sort of feeder station just north of Horsted for the airport. I think that would be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting idea, and one that we've been working on. The Harrogate Chamber of Commerce have been very sort of vocally in favour of that, and they're the sort of solutions that I think we've got to look at, as well as there's a traditional one, which is build a new rail track up to the airport, both from Leeds and Bradford, build 2, put new operators on them. That would be great, but it's going to cost a lot of money, and there's a lot of water to go under the bridge before it could happen. So are there better ways, cheaper ways,
Yeah.
more cost-effective ways of doing that sort of thing? You know, if you think about the number of people who commute between Harrogate and Leeds, you could have a park and ride there in that sort of
I
situation.
mentioned that this morning. I thought it was a great idea.
So, you know, it's those sort of things where you think of airports around the world, you don't always get off the train and have the airport terminal right in front of you. You know, you've usually got on to go onto something to make your way to the station. So as long as it's not too far, I think it's a really serious proposition that we should seriously look at and take some of the pressure off some of the other stations like Horsforth and others that have a lot of parking problems.
Yeah, they're not ideal are they? Because I suppose historically when they were built, it was before almost the cars. I've noticed we went to the New After Bridge station just to have a look at it, and it's a massive area for parking, and that's relieved the Kirksville coming into Leeds, hasn't it? That's another example.
Yeah, you could think of both Appley Bridge for Bradford and you know, the area around Bramhope for Leeds and Harrogate as the ways that you link into the airport. So they're the sort of issues we're going to be discussing at this the Transport Summit that we're holding on the 10th of June.
That's really good to hear. And then Kirks will be opening again the rail station there shortly.
Yeah, it will. We're just waiting for the specific date, but it's going to be in the next few weeks. And again, you know, Kirksville Forge, what an amazing development that is.
It is.
You know, I think if people have got, I'm going to do a bit of a pitch for it now, but if you're thinking of somewhere really nice to settle in Leeds, it's just an amazing, almost amphitheatre really, you know, the valley, and there's going to be, you know, new businesses locating there. It's a short distance to the city centre, new housing, you know, it's a no-brainer really. I was with some of the big housing developers recently and some of the smaller ones, and they were saying that the housing market in Leeds is the best in Yorkshire for how the houses are shifting at the moment. So I think, you know, again, we're now in a position where we've put the building blocks in place. We have this target. Some people think it's too big, but it's, you know, it's what we had to go for through the core strategy process. But we've now got over 3,000 homes a year being built in Leeds in areas that are through planning approval, you know, creating jobs for people in the city, creating housing for young people that's more affordable. You know, that's the sort of thing we've got to do more of if we're going to be a growing city, as long as it's done in a way that isn't, you know, taking away the distinctiveness, you know, and the great, you know, rural nature of Leeds as well. And that's what we've got to do really carefully through our site allocations process.
Oh, that's brilliant. And then Northern Powers, Tom, I know you're passionate about that. You've done a lot of work to get that going. Do you feel that's on its way now?
Yeah, absolutely. I know some people perceive it as being a bit Manchester dominated because of the way it started, but we're absolutely at the heart of that, and we're, you know, meeting I met the Treasury just before the elections, and meeting them again with Sir Howard Bernstein and John Mothersall and others from across the region in a few weeks. You know, they're very much up for that. We've seen the figures for investment showing that the North is improving its level of investment, and Leeds is at the forefront of that. So, you know, again, it's about hunting as a pack. You know, in global terms, people think of London and then they think of the rest of the UK, they maybe think of Scotland. So we've got to recognise that if we operate as, you know, people who represent 15 million people, that's a super city in its own right. So, you know, let's keep our distinctiveness and keep our independence within that, but let's, when we go out to the global marketplace, why not punch our way as the North and work together with Leeds and Manchester right at the heart of that. That makes a lot of sense for me.
Well, it does, Tom. I mean, you've heard me talk about North Midland Excellence, and I was actually involved in facilitating Excellence Yorkshire and Excellence North West coming together. Then the North East formed, and that was 2008. And that's really worked well. The board is made up of representatives from the different regions, and you know, we feel that we want to do our part to help the Northern Powers agenda. So that's great. Well, Tom, thank you ever so much for being with us again.
Thanks, Pete.
You've given us a lot of positive news and lots of things to look forward to, and we wish you well.
Great to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks.